Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you all for joining this webinar. I would also like to thank MIT School of Distance Education for inviting me for this webinar. And it is indeed a very good initiative by MIT SD, where it is creating platform for people from industry as well as people like you, which is a common platform where we all can interact and talk about our experiences. So I would like to thank MIT for this opportunity. So before I start, I'll just introduce myself about my topic and my company. So my name is Pranav Chobhe. I am the founder of Beyondblue, which is a startup which is based in Pune. So I'm a student of management background. I did my bachelor's in business management and then my post graduation in international business. And I have been working into the field of education, tourism, and educational academic workshops for past more than 5 years. And Beyond Blue is a startup which is engaged into organizing all sorts of international study tours and academic workshops with various universities across the globe. So, being into this field of education tourism, I have been traveling extensively across the globe for last 5 years, and this gave me a very good opportunity to interact with a lot of good and top-notch institutes and universities across the globe. And Beyond Blue is a company which is established for more than it's a very we established last year in month of April. So just in 1 year, we started Beyond Blue. And today you all know the topic for the seminar is project management in service sector. So when we say service sector, I will be talking from education tourism background, and I will be talking about my experiences in this industry. So before I actually get into the topic, let me tell you a few incidences because we have also a few years back we implemented project management approach in the organization. So I would first like to tell you why did I feel the need of implementing this approach and what is project management. So with any startup, the ideology is सब लोगों को सब कुछ देखना है. And now for the seminar, PM stands for project management, but that time PM was personal management. Whatever we say is good. Okay, so that is how we all started with full Josh. And we had a first group of 35 students from Delhi, and we were visiting France for 7 days. And of course, when we go to Paris, the main attractions are Eiffel and the Mona Lisa painting. So what happened on that day? We visited the Louvre Museum for the scheduled visit, and the thing was, it is all the ones who are watching this webinar and would have seen the museum, they can understand. It is absolutely huge. So anyone who is going for the first time will not be able to make out where is the entrance and where to go inside from. So that was the first challenge which I faced. I did not had the map with me. So I asked my group to stand in one corner, and I was struggling to find the entrance. And eventually, I found it. I went inside. I had the booking with me, but the security guard was not able to understand English. But somehow I could make out that he was telling me that the ticket which I had is just the ticket of audio guide. Audio guide is just the headset which I am wearing, and it is not the entry ticket. So that was the first shock which I faced, and students were waiting for me. There was a huge queue. Even if I had to go and inquire at the counter, and somehow I tried to skip the queue, I went and I asked that this is what I have, but they said that this is not your ticket. This is not your ticket. You need to buy an entry ticket, but that is not possible now. For groups, you need to book it at least 2 months in advance, and now we cannot give you the ticket. So after a lot of negotiations, I convinced him, and then as an exceptional case, they said that okay, you can buy the tickets now. But whatever price which we had assumed, okay, I had to pay 3 times more at the counter. So that was again one challenge wherein I had to spend money out of budget. And then somehow I found a guide there. I convinced the guide, and the group we went to the museum. So this was the first experience where I felt that there is lack of planning and lack of information in my hand. Second experience which I'll be telling you will highlight some important points about what is time management. When we talk about tourism industry, time is absolutely important. And during my previous role in one of the companies, I was working as an associate director, and we had a group of around 35 students. We were traveling to Australia. The Australian consulate said that you have to apply for the visa 21 days in advance. We applied for for the visa 35 days in advance, and just 3 4 days before the departure, visas were not in hand. I went to Delhi to the embassy. I tried to contact them, but nothing happened. And just a day before the trip, we got a call from the High Commission stating that you won't be getting the visas today. We'll be giving you the visas in next 2 days. And they did not give me any explanation. This was the only explanation they had. So you can imagine the situation in the office. We had 35 students traveling tomorrow. All the bookings are being made in Australia for next 10 days. Hotels is booked, paid, everything is done. And today they are saying that we cannot give you the visas. So there were two challenges. One is to handle the situation in office, handle all the operations, and second is the customer side, because it created a lot of havoc in the office. And next day airline said that it is not a mistake and we are not going to pay back the money, and the entire amount is being forfeited. So you can imagine 35 students tickets is being forfeited. Hotels are saying that we will not be able to change the dates in such a last moment. This was another experience which was an eye opener about deadlines. Okay. Now I'll be telling you a third experience wherein project management approach was already implemented. So it is a recent incidents happened with our company, and a group of around 65 students were traveling to Europe for 16 days. The plan was for 16 days, and 19th May the batch was decided to travel, and with all the negotiations, we got the contract in month of Feb. But that time, somewhere we had an idea that COVID might hit India, and this might be a challenge. So that time, even if when we got the contract, when we were discussing with the airlines, we got few quotes. One was from one of the airline, which the ticket was non-refundable but was cheap. But we said that no, what if such a crisis situation occurs? Because we had already identified the risk. Now the task was to mitigate that risk. So we booked a ticket which was refundable. We paid some extra amount for that on a different airline, and we booked that ticket. And the same thing happened in month of March. We came to know that it now to travel in month of May is absolutely not possible. And then we canceled the tickets. So if at all, in order to save the cost, if we would have booked the tickets, if we would have booked the non-refundable tickets, it would have created a lot of issues. But assuming the risks, we had already a plan of booking such a ticket. So we canceled all the bookings. For other bookings, we had not made any payments, and we paid back all the amount. What happened in this case? First was less mental stress, hassle-free operations. With my customers, I have increased credibility because they say that we had paid to Beyondblue and we got the money back. And yes, I definitely have a very good opportunity for future business. And I also saved on a lot of cost. So this was the two experiences. Why I told you is because you could understand what happened before we implemented the project management approach, and this incidents will tell you what happened after we implemented this approach. So now let's get to the topic. I'll take you through the PPT. Nitin ji, can we have the PPT? Thank you. Can you please open the contents slide? Next. Yeah. So in my PPT, I'll be talking about the meaning of project as well as the project management, the important concepts involved into the PPT, significance of this topic pertaining to travel industry, what experiences we had after we implemented the project management approach in the company, challenges which we are actually facing at the moment, impact on business, what future avenues you have, and associated programs at MIT SD, and then the contact details. So coming next, what is a project? So project is next slide. Yeah. So project is simply an defined activities, anything which have defined activities, which has a defined starting and a ending period and has a definite goal. So looking at the current situation, COVID-19 vaccine is also a project wherein although it doesn't have a deadline because it is a research project, but it is also a project. It has a specific goal. It has a start and end, definite start and end. Another example of a project is the Chandrayaan and the Pune Metro, which is still ongoing. It is also a project. Okay, and what is not a project is our daily schedules. Okay, so maybe tomorrow I don't know what is my schedule, or it is not planned, it doesn't have a definite goal, so I cannot call it as a project. And what is a project management? So anything which is planned, which is managed, okay, which has predefined goals, is called a project management. So project management involves planning, managing all the activities which are defined. It also involves optimum utilization of the resources. So who are the optimum resources involved in the project is the manpower. So you need to understand, you need to utilize the competencies and knowledge of that resources. That also is a part of project management. And project management is also a unique process, which is a set of coordinated and controlled activities with a start and finish date. So this is all is about project and project management. Next, next slide. Then I will be talking about project management in education tourism industry, in what phases business takes place in our industry, and the project management activities. Okay. So what is education tourism industry? So it involves two aspects. One is education and second is the back end is tourism. In education, what do we have? So as I said that we visit industries, we visit startups, we have academic workshops at various top-notch universities. So this part falls under education. And the travel part, of course, is the back end. That is why we call it as edu tourism industry. And whereas the project phases are concerned, I'll tell you the business model of my company. So we basically deal with students and educational institutes. So in this, we need to understand two important things. One is we say KYC is know your client, and second is KYP, know your product. So first thing is I need to understand what is my product and who are my clients. So let's say I am pitching a study to worth 2 lakhs to a college outskirts of Pune. I know where there is no paying capacity, so that is of no use. So first thing in the phase is I need to excuse me, I need to understand who my client is and what my product is. Once the product is finalized, then comes the part of sales. We start approaching the institutes. Once the institute approves, we finalize a program and a date with the institute, which is then floated to the students. Then starts the booking of that program. So two parts. One is the sales part, which is still ongoing because students are still making, still booking. Second, operational part starts in the office. We need to start booking the airlines, the land arrangements. So once all these things happen, we need to understand the time when the trip is finalized and when the group is actually traveling. We need to identify the time which is involved in between. Accordingly, we need to schedule the visas. Each consulate, each country has a different specifications, as in when to apply, how many days in before to apply. That is how we start with the planning and booking uh, of the all the scheduled activities. Once all this everything is in place, visas are in hand, we do an orientation to the students, we travel, and then we come back. Okay, once we come back, we need to do a post audit of what happened in the trip. Okay, so these are the project phases which are involved. And now let's talk about the project management activities, what we do during this process. So first is about planning and estimating. So what is the most important thing is to plan. So let's say if I am traveling to Europe, I need to understand what time I'm traveling. So if I'm traveling in the peak time, I need to do my estimates accordingly. So let's say summertime is a peak time. I need to do my estimates. I need to understand the demand supply. At that time, I do the estimate and then present the cost to the clients. So that is the first phase, planning and estimating. So what we usually do, let's say we start planning at least 4 to 5 months in advance. We start to plan in month of November, December for the upcoming summer season. That is how we start to plan, and in that planning we do all the estimating and estimation, and we have the programs ready for the clients. Second, as I said, comes the sales part. Once the client is converted, you have all the bookings. Yes, Nitinji, you said something.
No, sir. Please continue.
Okay. uh, then comes the part which happens in the office, is called as the operational part. So we need to start scheduling and assigning the tasks. So when I told you my experience about Australia, you would have probably understood the importance of deadlines. So we need to understand, we need to analyze the time in between, and we need to assign those tasks, that when the visa should be applied, when do we have to get all the bookings in place. So that part starts to happen. Then comes the budget allocation part. So we allocate budget to each respective department. Let's say a department which is booking hotels, we allocate a budget so that none of my team members should come and tell my manager that this is what is the quotation, shall we book or not. If he or she is already having a budget in hand, he will straight away look at the reviews and go ahead and book the hotel. So budget allocation is very important. Then comes setting up the coordination platform. So what I mean by setting up coordination platform is, this is very important for visas. So we apply for individual visas. So in that case, students need to collect a lot of documents. So we create a platform either from WhatsApp, or maybe we create a common email ID wherein students can interact, and we can send all the documents to the students. So this is how we set up a coordination platform, which is absolutely important. Then comes reviewing and monitoring cost parameters like foreign currency. Okay. So why I'm saying this is, reviewing such parameters has a lot of impact on cost, because I do not have a control on the forex market. So let's take for an example, we have 3 to 4 groups aligned for USA, and while quoting, while estimating, USD is maybe 70, and actually while making the payment, and the requirement is around 1 lakh USD, and actually while making the payment, if the dollar rate goes to 72 or 73, the difference is, let's consider 2 USD. Okay, but 2 USD into 1 lakh is 2 lakhs. So if I do not monitor such parameters, before even executing the project, I'm in loss. I'm making a loss of 2 lakhs, or maybe that would be a marginal loss in the profit. So monitoring all these parameters is extremely important. So one such parameters is foreign exchange. Second such parameters is the air ticket, because again you do not have a control on that factor. So you need to plan your bookings well in advance. Then comes controlling the project execution. So we have our managers in place who ensures that all the deadlines are met and things are going smooth, and we are doing the bookings well in advance, and everything is as per the plan. Then comes the pre-execution audit. So what do we have in pre-execution audit is, while we were implementing this approach in the company, we had prepared a checklist. So let's say our manager is traveling with the students. He will be given with a checklist. We will prepare a file which has all the checklists, which has the booking confirmation, which has the payment confirmation from all the vendors. So let's say 1 week before the departure, we have all these things well in place. We send email and we again reconfirm all the services from the suppliers, and the program is again confirmed with the person who is traveling with the students. So this is called as pre-execution audit. Then once the trip comes back, we do a post-tour audit. So this is absolutely important. Initially, what we used to take things on face value. We as students used to appreciate things used to have take place and all good. Thank you. That is how we used to close the program. But now we do a post-trip analysis. On that, it is very important for you to analyze the activities which were planned and which took place at actual. Okay, so you need to analyze the on-tour experiences for the students as well as the person who accompanied them, the challenges which he faced, and the activities or visits which were planned and compared to the actual visits, what happened. Okay, so we need to analyze if everything is in place, and then the feedback from the clients. Once this is done, we do the documentation of this report. For each trip, we prepare a document, which is absolutely important. And when we implemented this approach, this was the major factor, documentation, which now we realize how important it is. And then we have to feed all those updates in the internal systems as well as on social media. Why in internal systems? I need to have a check on the cost. Maybe next year we are planning for the same trip. I need to check what was the cost which we had last year and what is the cost which we have this year. So that is why feeding all these updates in internal systems is important. So these are some of the concepts which are involved in our company. Next. Yeah. So significance of this topic in the practical world. So first point is timelines and deadlines. As I told you, in tourism industry, timelines are extremely important. One such example which I gave you was about Australia trip. The visas did not come on time, which which incurred huge losses, monetary losses, as well as loss in credibility. So another example for timeline is, let's say you're traveling to Europe, you need to follow all the European driving norms. So if you have a bus which is booked especially for you, they will say that, okay, we have the buses at your disposal for 12 hours, but the coach captain can drive only for 9 hours. Let's say you plan to start at 8 o'clock, but you depart at 9 o'clock. 1 hour is lost. Okay. And in that time, a lot of things can happen. It is very sad for to say that when sometimes we are not on time, the people they say that you have so for them IST Indian Standard Time is coming late. This is what is the image we have created. It is unfortunate, and it is not only about the image of the company which is hampered, but it's the image of the nation which is hampered. So it is that important. Timeline and deadlines is that important in this industry. Second is after implementing what benefit you have is optimum utilization of the resources. Okay. Initially, we used to have two accountants in our company. One was a lead accountant. Second used to support her in the operations. So we used to have two accountants. But now that after implementing this, we came to know that we can actually outsource the entire accounting of the company to a CA firm. So now the accountant in my company is a chartered accountant. So I have completely outsourced my operations to an accounting firm in which my CA, she handles all the daily accounting recording of the transactions till she does the tax audit and fining the ITR. So I have one person who does all these things, which has saved my cost up to 30%. And it has also reduced in the communication which used to take place between my accountant, tax consultant, chartered accountant. So when earlier we had three people in the loop, now I have only one person in the loop, only one organization who's taking care of all these things, and I'm saving 30% of my cost. So in the bracket I have said CA plus FA. So my accountant is my chartered accountant as well as my financial advisor. So managing while running a business, managing all the finances is absolutely important, because a lot of times you see a lot of a big amount in your bank balance, but that time you should understand that इसमें से कितनी amount मैं घर ले जा सकता हूँ and इसमें से कितना amount business का है. Okay, so for that you need to have a financial consultant in place. So all this work is done by one person now. Third is cost control measures. Okay, so if the cost is high, it will lead to loss in margins, or it might also lead to loss in the entire project. If I do not book their tickets well in advance, I am going to make losses. If I do not, so there is a system, or there is a how I can manage or control the foreign currency. Let's say we are traveling to Europe, and if I do with hedging, I can at least have the price which is fixed. Let's say if I while designing, if I have assumed it at 80, I can keep it at 80 by hedging. Okay, if I don't do, it will again end me up in losses. So these are some of the cost control measures which we take. Budgeting is absolutely again important. Initially, what used to happen, there used to be a lot of coordination between the operations team and the manager. Every time they used to come and they used to ask me whether to book or whether to not to book. Okay, so now that they have been allocated with a budget, there is less communication and very smooth operations. Fourth is the customer experience. Okay, so again, in the examples I have mentioned about Eiffel tickets. So in one of the batches, what happened is we got a contract from one of the college, and we were not sure that how many students would turn up, whether it would be 30, 40, or 50. So what we said, just wait for some time. Once we have all the bookings, then we'll make the Eiffel tickets. Then we'll book the Eiffel tickets. But at actual, when we had when students they made the payments and then we tried to make the bookings, we were not able to get the tickets because the slots were full. And at that time, I had to wait in the queue with all the students for more than maybe 1 hour in the queue. So that again hampers the customer experience. If you do not plan all these things, it is definitely going to hamper the customer experience. If I'm telling my client that okay, I'll be taking you to BMW plant in Munich, I need to have that confirmation in hand before I commit. So if it is not planned, it is definitely going to hamper the customer experience. And fifth point is risk not identified and mitigated. So the best example for this is in the starting, I gave you two examples. One was for the Australia trip in which visas did not come on time. And second is the example which I gave for this trip, which was cancelled because of COVID. And just look at the level of operations which took place in first experience. It was totally a havoc. In second, we already had identified and mitigated the risk, so it all went smooth. So this is the significance of project management with my organization. Next. Yeah. And what are the real life experiences in this topic is, yeah. So now we have a very clear vision and mission statement, which is also been told to all the employees. So even they all know where is the company heading and how are we heading, what is the mission and vision statement. So that is absolutely clear. We have the SWOT in place. Then now we have a defined organizational structure and a defined reporting structure. Earlier, what used to happen in personal management, okay, when there was no system in place and no organizational structure in place, what used to happen is we are three partners. So, and as I said, the approach was it is a startup and everybody has to take care of all the tasks. So there is no specific task which is allotted for a person. Everybody has to take care of everything which falls in his place. So if I go and tell one of my team members that this XYZ is the task, he used to say, no, I am already doing ABC task. So that time organizational structure was not in place. Now this thing doesn't happen. So now we have a defined organization structure. We have a defined reporting structure. All the team members report to the respective managers. Okay, so initially it used to happen that a team member used to come and tell my partner, okay, I'm not coming to office tomorrow. And then when I used to come to office, I was not in the loop, and I used to call him that आप कहाँ पे हो? Then he used to tell me, नहीं मैंने तो already कल मैंने बोला था. So now these were the challenges which we used to face. And now after implementing Agile project management, it has led to a very smooth coordination and very good control system which is in place. And we also have now very well defined SOPs, which is a systematic operating process, standard operating process, which is in place for because we have a lot of products. So let's say if at all an employee is resigning and a new employee is joining, he just has to go through the SOPs and he's clear with his tasks. It is that clear now. So that is one of the major benefits which we have after implementing project management. We have well-defined HR policies. So HR manual is being structured. No issues with employees. Everything is in place. Seventh point is about documentation. Okay, where we used to lack on this point. Now we have a very well documented evidences of all the events. Even if you say which was the first trip, I have it with me. Which was the college? How many students? What was the experience? What was the cost? Okay, everything is being well documented. Point number 8 is technology management. So I have an experience to tell you. When the pandemic situation started, we went on work from home. So we thought that we should do something for the clients. Students are sitting idle in home, so we should do something for the growth. So we came up with a concept called We Care to Share, wherein on each Saturday we invited one guest from who is specialized and who is doing some very good and unique work in his industry. He used to come online for the sessions. So the first session, uh, there again, we did not had the technology management in place. So we faced a lot of issues with the first session itself. And then after that session, we again had a checklist. What is to be done before a session starts? Even for this session, I did a technological audit. So let's say if this headphones are not working, I have this headphone. If again this headphone will not work, I have one more headphone with me. Again, I am not a technical guy. If at all, let's say my laptop stop functioning, I again have an iPad in place in which I can log in immediately. So this is what this comes from technological audit, which we have implemented. So same kind of structure we have implemented in the company. And then ninth point is about definitely less costs, high margins, systematic and autopilot mode. So before we started with project management, our consultancy said, "Ki, Pranav, why do you want to do this?" So I said that I want to run my company in an autopilot mode. So he said, "What do you mean by autopilot mode?" So I said that it should be like how we grow, how we humans grow. Okay, we don't need to tell the left hand कि अभी तुम्हें बढ़ना है. Then we don't need to tell the right hand कि ये देख left hand बढ़ गया अभी तू क्यों नहीं बढ़ा है. So it is all organic. Okay, how our body grows, a company should grow in that way. It should grow organically. So that kind of system we wanted to implement, and it is now happening. And the outcome definitely is happy customers. So a very good feedback, very smooth operations, which is taking place. So these are some of the experiences which we are facing after implementation of project management. Next, the challenges which we are facing, of course, you all know tourism is highly susceptible to natural calamities, pandemic situation, COVID-19, we all know. So this is the major challenge which we face. Second is a lot of competition. Although we are not travel agents, but people sometimes tend to tag us with that yeah travel agent he ho, but we are not travel agents. But definitely, even though we are not into the travel agents lobby, there is a lot of competition which we are facing. Third is the cost, which a lot of the costs are dependent on uncontrolled factors. Like I gave you an example of airline and forex market. And fourth point is AI and IoT. So I won't say AI and IoT is exactly a challenge, but it's actually the way you look at it. So for me, it might be a challenge. It might as well be a blessing. How I tell you, you nowadays have apps wherein you can just feed in where you want to travel, when do you want to travel, what is your budget, and immediately you get a itinerary in front of you. That is all AI. So it is with all these technology, skills are replaced by technology. If we come up with such kind of technology, definitely it will be a blessing. But for now, I have included it as one of the challenges. Next, impact on a business. So you might have understood that there is a very good impact on business. Like we have after implementing Agile and Scrum methodologies, it has definitely given us an edge in the competitive world. We now have improved quality of operations and customer feedback, less mental stress. We are adhering to all the systems, to time, to schedule, to quality, to the budget. We have increased efficiency in the resources. Our employees are happy, and we have a very fixed and organized structure. So definitely, the impact on business is absolutely good. Next, yeah. Now, what avenues you have? So I would like to tell you, tourism is a very big industry. So at the moment, there are people who are talking ki this is the industry which has been affected and it will take a lot of time to come out of this situation. But it's actually not correct, I would say. Just to tell you the figures, if we look at the global tourism industry and the revenue out of it, it is 10%. Tourism industry contributes for the 10% of GDP, which is a very substantial number, 10%. So there are a lot of avenues in this industry. And another factor is this industry cannot be replaced with technology. All of you would have seen Eiffel in a lot of movies, YouTube videos, but we still have this desire that no, one day I should go and see Eiffel. So there is no alternative for this industry, and it is going to grow in a very good pace. Now, what avenues we have uh, in education tourism industry is one is operations executive who takes care of all the land arrangements, which involves a lot of negotiations and finding good partners across the globe. So that is the job for an operations executive. Second is a visa executive who processes all the visas. Third and fourth is a sales job, which we all know, and in our company we have to deal with all the institutes and schools. So these are the major clients. Fifth is, of course, definitely we need to have a digital marketing. Either we need to have a digital marketing agency or we need to have a in-house digital marketing team. We have an in-house digital marketing team who takes care of all these things. We have an in-house designer. We need to have, or you can also have this as one of the avenues as a travel planner or travel expert, which is also important. Eighth is an on-field job wherein you accompany the clients, and ninth is a typical HR and accounts finance executive. So there are a lot of avenues, a lot of departments wherein you can contribute, and a lot of scope for you. Next. So, what are the avenues for an experienced professional? Is I would say still we have a lot of avenues. One is a Scrum Master. After implementing project management system, we need a Scrum Master who is responsible for maintaining all the records, who is responsible for managing and allocating all the work and targets. Second is a managerial post for sales, operations, accounts, finance, and visas. Third is a program manager who is responsible for all the client relationships and who has to monitor all the above activities, who has to ensure that the project management approach is being implemented in proper way. And fifth is a GM business development post who has to ensure the growth of the organization and who is responsible for the innovations. So these are some of the avenues which we have for an experienced professional. Next. Now, before I come to this, let me conclude with one story, okay, which will definitely give you an idea about current situation. So there was a man who was driving in a scorching sun, and he was driving, and in between he thought that there is some issue with the tires. The tire might be punctured. So he parked his car near a bridge. He came out and he was already irritated because of a lot of sun, and he came to know that the left tire is punctured. So he said now he had no option. It was like a desert, and then he took out the stepney. He took out all those bolts, and while he was putting up that tire, he was changing the tire. By mistake, uh, all those bolts fell in the water because he was standing on the bridge, and then later on nothing could happen. And he saw an old man coming, and he said, "जरा भाई साहब क्या issue क्या हो गया है?" तो he said कि आपको दिखता नहीं है क्या, टायर पंक्चर हो गया है, नट बोल्ट भी पानी में गिर गया, अभी कुछ चांस ही नहीं है. So he was irritated, and he said, "Ki, I can tell you one solution. What you can do is you take out one bolt from each of the tire and you can put on the tire which is punctured, and you have garage just 10 kilometers away from this place, and then you can drive your car." So this was a solution which he gave, and then he thanked that old man that, "Oh, thank you so much. I did not think of such kind of solution. I was just focusing on the problem." So we all, most of us are in the similar kind of situation. Currently, because of COVID, we all are focusing just on the problems. That इसके बाद क्या होगा? Jobs नहीं आएंगे. I might lose my job. And when will the vaccine come? Everybody, including us, including the media on WhatsApp, people are talking just about the problem. But this was the old man who was solution oriented, who gave him a solution which was simple. He had a different approach to look at the problem. And I would say at this time, MIT SDE is that old man who is coming up with a solution oriented approach to people like us who look at the situation as a problem. Okay, so I would definitely say that look at this old man. He is the guiding torch, and he is a solution oriented person offering you solutions. So what solutions they have you to offer is they are offering very good programs which are designed by industry experts. These programs are in project management, operations management, and IT management. Okay, so this is the time I feel that we should invest in ourselves, and definitely it will uh, pay in the long run. And I'm myself, I believe that this scope होता है is not for a particular field, but scope is for all individuals. It's for all of us. It is you, how you utilize your time, how much you invest in yourself. Okay, that is going to pay you in the long run. So all the students, all the working professionals who are attending this seminar should definitely consider on on upskilling their own profile. So do have a look at all these programs. The website and the contact details are also mentioned in the last slide. So this was all about project management approach in service industry, project management experiences with my company. So uh, we still have time. Anybody who has questions, please go ahead with the questions. What is the basic difference between Scrum and Agile methodology? So I won't say there is a difference, but Scrum is a part of Agile methodology. So Agile itself means flexibility, and establishing a system, giving flexibility, with giving open-mindedness, giving a thought process of accepting out-of-the-box ideas is, I would say, is called as agile methodology. and Scrum is a part of it. So let's say when we talk about Scrum, what we do in our organization is the daily meetings. Okay, this daily standing 7 minutes meeting falls under the Scrum methodology. So Scrum is a part of Agile. Anything else, Nitin we have?
Yes, sir. Just unlock that question pane. You can find many more questions.
So Mr. Pradeep Kaya is asking me what is the market size of the industry. So okay, to tell you in figures, okay, currently Government of India has announced a subsidy of 20 lakh CR. Okay, and if you look at the global tourism industry, the market is 600 lakhs CR. Okay, so it is that big. That is the market size of the industry. Then Adoy Decay is asking, do we need to pursue any course to get into travel industry? Yes, Advait, there are a lot of courses through which you can get into the travel industry, which definitely gives you a basic idea. And what I feel is that you first need to have a very good knowledge about the global map, and you need to have a knowledge about the geographical conditions, and a lot of online courses, lot of diploma courses in travel industry can help you get into this kind of industry. So Dr. Srinivas is asking what type of project works you take up from your company. Okay, so we are education service providers, and we basically deal with students of management, engineering, and architecture. So we organize international and domestic study tours and academic workshops. So we take these students for international study tours wherein they can visit industries, startups, and have academic workshops in that particular university in that city. And now we have one more program which is coming up. Is For the first time we are implementing this concept, which is called as the leadership walk, which we are doing with Dr. Radhakishan Pillai, who is the living child here. What the concept behind this is, after COVID, we all know strategies, the old strategies may not work. You need to change your strategies, and who is the best person to guide for the strategies is Dr. Pillai. So we are taking this is especially for professionals and business persons. We are taking them to a place in India for 5 days. So that is one of the project which we are taking up. What skills we require for project management sector? So Darshana is asking what skills are needed for project management in this sector, and is there a specified course for this? Uh, I won't say there is a specific course for project management in tourism sector. Okay, but you first need to understand the project management, the methodologies, and the tools used for project management, and then you can implement that strategy in any of the sector, may it be manufacturing, may it be service sector. So it's like you just need to understand the chemical formula, how that chemical is made. If you know mixing which chemicals are to be mixed to get that kind of output, that is knowing project management. Once that is clear, then you can implement that in any kind of industry. And yes, definitely for project management, a lot of courses are available. MIT is offering one of those courses. Which model you prefer for software development? Meghana ma'am, I'm sorry because I'm not a technology guy. I may not be able to answer this question, but maybe you can send this question to the organizers and they can get back to you with this question because it's about software development. So, what are the equipments? I lost the question. Yeah, what are the equipments, infrastructure, facilities do you need in process of completion of your project work? So, whereas the projects in my industry are concerned, you don't need a very big infrastructure. You need to have the hardwares in place. That is maybe a laptop or a computer. Okay, and you need to have an internet facility. You need to have certified and authorized Microsoft softwares, and there is nothing else which is required. But if you want to start a travel agency, you would require some certifications like IATA. But there is no specific kind of infrastructure facilities or equipments if you want to set up or complete projects with pertaining to my industry. Would it give a boost to resume if we do some course in Scrum, Agile, Scrum, project management? Yes, definitely, definitely, Siddhali, it will definitely add a great value to your own personal portfolio if you have these things in place. And it is not only about what you contribute to the organization, but if you understand this kind of approach, you are able to apply it anywhere in your life. Okay. So this approach will not only boost your resume, but it will definitely benefit your personal and professional life. So any investment which you make in yourself will definitely pay some or the other time. So Prakash Naik is asking, how do you find the COVID situation impact? Yes, definitely, Mr. Prakash, the impact is very big. Okay, and it is a big setback for the tourism industry. Okay, but I see a very good potential post COVID. Okay, so maybe after December things would start get back to normal, and travel is, although not the basic necessity, but it is definitely a necessity. And with all foreign with all in industries, major industries from China uh, coming to India, India is going to be a very big manufacturing and service hub in coming few years. Okay, so it is definitely going to boost the tourism industry. And with whatever people which I am talking, I am very much confident that after December, maybe starting from next May 2021, things would be very good, and India would be in a very good position, and tourism industry will again pick up. But definitely, currently, if we look at it, the impact is huge.